Welcome to the Breakup Recovery Podcasts by your host, Barbara Stevens. Discover the wisdom and remarkable insights of Barbara Stevens, breakup recovery mentor, author, and public speaker. Barbara offers programs and solutions for any breakup so you can turn your life around, create lasting changes for the better, and embrace life again.
So Sally, tell me briefly about your relationship, how you met and how long you were together. Just paint a picture for us.
We were actually childhood sweethearts. We met when we were 8 years old in a caravan park where we used to go every school holidays and every Christmas, and we just grew up together when we were 8 years old, and it just went from there.
So when you were 8, so you knew your husband for quite some time then.
We certainly did, yes. We grew up and teenage years together. We didn't go to school together. We went to separate schools in Brisbane, but it was just during the school holidays and everything that we hooked up together in this caravan park, and we had a little gang in the park that we used to always hang out with together. Yeah.
And so when did you know that he was the one?
Well, I was previously engaged to somebody from a surf club, and then that fell apart, and then we got together again when I was about, I would have been 19, I think, and we got hooked up together again, and then we stayed together until the divorce.
So you actually married quite young then?
Yes, I did, yes. So I was engaged at 21. He proposed to me on my 21st birthday party. Engaged at 21, married at 22, and first child at 23.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, so it was all bam, bam, bam.
Very, very quick. I guess in those days too, you didn't live with your boyfriend back in those days, or did you live with him?
No, I actually lived in a unit myself because I was brought up on the north side of town, but I worked on the south side of town. And I lived in the unit on the south side. So I was living in the unit over there. And then when we got back together, because it was so far for him to travel to visit, I did move back in with Mum and Dad briefly for about 2 months. But that's hard in itself, going back home. So then we moved in together into his parents' house, which was quite strained for a while. And then we moved out together before the baby was born.
So, Sally, how long were you married for?
We were married for 19 years.
Wow. And how many children?
We have 3 boys.
So, 19 years, 3 boys. Tell me, did you have any other challenges besides marrying early and having the boys?
I never actually was a career-minded woman. I always wanted to be a mother and have the happy family type thing. And fortunately, we were financially stable and I was able to do that. But no challenges, just we grew apart and had different ideas. I was the family type person I was a sporty person myself, so I wanted all the boys to play sport, and they did, but he didn't agree with that. And in the end, it ended up me chasing after the 3 boys with sport while he was at a restaurant getting drunk with his friends. So that's where it all fell apart.
So how long have you been divorced now?
Let me see. 15 years.
15 years. And tell me about the breakup.
Oh, it wasn't very nice. At the time of the breakup, unfortunately, my mother was very ill in hospital. She had melanoma and she was dying. And he decided to go away on a holiday. And I didn't want to go away at the time, so he just went away with his family on the holiday. And when he came back, he was no help or support to me at all during the time of my mother, very ill. And then my mother did pass away, and he went out and celebrated with friends in Brisbane and didn't come home. And when he did eventually come home, I just asked him to leave. I'd had enough.
So he actually showed you no empathy at all?
None whatsoever, no. And then when I did pack up all his gear and left it at the front door, told him to go to his mother's, he asked me who died and left me in charge.
Oh, my
I said
goodness.
my mother did, thank you.
Oh.
But there was affairs on his behalf along the way. So,
And did you find out that after you separated, or you knew during the time of your marriage?
I had suspicions that something had to be going on because he wasn't home all the time, and with his line of work, there was no such thing as working late, and he wouldn't come home and things like that. I had suspicions, but it all blew up before he went away on the holiday. It all blew up. He was at a party and I wasn't there. I was home with the boys, and then I got a phone call about 1 o'clock from the Bribie police that he'd been beaten up badly and he was at hospital. So off I went like the good wife, got somebody to come and stay with the boys. Off I went like a good little wife to the hospital, and he told me he didn't want to see me. And I said, fine, okay, I'll go back home to the children. And what it was he got caught in a spa with somebody else's wife.
Okay, and the husband came in, that lady's husband
Yes.
came in and found them.
Yes.
So when you did throw him out, so to speak, and he was told to go and live at his parents' house, how did he react when he finally came to the realisation that the marriage was over?
Of course he didn't believe that I'd packed up his stuff and put it at the front door and I had no right to do anything because this was his house. He was the worker. I was only the homebody. When he did go to his mother's, it was very strange because his mother only lives 2 blocks away. So he was still around the area. He didn't really think it was true until about 3 weeks after the event, because he was always saying that I was never capable of looking after myself, and because I'd never done anything with the finances or anything like that, he'd done everything. And when I was surviving in the house with the kids on my own, he sort of thought, oh goodness, maybe this is for real. Yeah.
And how did you feel at the time of the breakup? What emotions were you going through?
There was relief. There was sadness because of the children. I stayed together because of the children for a lot of the years, with the stigma from my parents saying you've got to stay together, blah, blah, blah. And then I had the courage to pack up his stuff, and a lot of panic because I'd never dealt with finances or anything before. So I had a lot of outside help then from girlfriends. They stepped up, and because I was also going through mum passing away, so I had mum's funeral as well and trying to support my dad and my 2 sisters, and it was just a nightmare, the whole thing. But I survived.
You did. You went through an awful lot, especially with the death of your mum.
Yes.
And then almost the death of your marriage. 2 things at once. Wow. So your friends supported you through the time of your breakup?
Yes.
Is that the main way you got through the breakup?
I tried to keep everything as normal as possible for the children, and to have that routine of school, sport, the structure. It helped me also to process things, because we live away from Brisbane, and for the sporting events it's an hour to travel to places, 2 hours, and that was my thinking time. I could think and process how to do things. So yes, having my friends here, some of them to help me financially to sort things out and tell me that, this is how you do it and everything like that, because I've never been big with maths or finances. So I did get a lot of help in that area, and also a bank manager lived down the road from me, and he stepped up and helped me as well.
Wow.
So I was very lucky with the support I did get.
Yeah. So that was like 15 years ago. How do you feel now about the whole breakup, the whole marriage, the divorce? What are your feelings about that now?
I'm glad I didn't stay with him, because I have seen the person he has become, and I'm glad that I had the courage to move on, because I'm now happily remarried. As for the boys, it's been tough, but ultimately it's been tough on me, because the ex-husband has paid off the children to live with him over the years, and I've lost that closeness with my 3 boys. totally. And if something comes up, they're always there for their father. But if I ask them to do something, it's like I'm trying to get blood out of a stone. So it's been very heartbreaking losing that closeness with my boys. It's not all of them. Mainly one of them is pulled away. And it's just hard. All the way through, they've never seen my point of view. They've always been on their father's side.
But generally, you can see more positives than negatives.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yes. Most definitely.
So you're in a situation now where you've remarried.
Yes.
How's things for you now?
Well, that was a challenge in itself because I had two of the boys living here still. The eldest one had moved out, and when my husband and I got together, he had 4 children, so that meant stepchildren coming into the picture. He had 2 of them living with him and 2 smaller ones with his ex-partner. And when we all moved in together, there was boys the same age in the same house, and then a girl came on the scene. So that was a different dynamic in a house that had been full of boys. It was difficult in itself in the beginning, but we all survived, and in the end, all 4 children had been living here. So my 2 moved out over the years eventually to live with their father. So we've had lots of teenage children in this house that we've dealt with going through the hard years. My husband and I are very happy together, and we've survived the teenage years through 4 and 7 children. It's been a blast.
So have you got any tips that you'd like to pass on, mainly about how to move forward after your breakup?
It's not easy, but if you have support of lots of good friends and family, it does get better. In the beginning, it feels like your whole world's falling apart, but it does get better.
Have you got any thoughts about your ex-husband now?
I'd rather not see him. I'd rather have no contact with him. Unfortunately, I have tried as the boys got older, through celebrations of 21st and 30th and births of children, grandchildren, I have tried to be in the same place as he is, but it doesn't work.
It just doesn't work for you. So
No.
It's better for you that you're not around him.
That's exactly right, because he comes and goads me.
Yeah. So I guess now that the children are older, you really don't need to have any contact with him unless, there's a wedding, or probably a wedding's probably the only thing you would come in contact with him.
That's right, yes. Birthday recently, and it didn't work out.
For your own sanity or your own peace of mind or your own happiness,
That's right.
it's
yes.
better that you don't see him. Thank you for sharing your insightful tips today. I'm grateful that you have. I think it's great when other women can support other women. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Good luck.
If you would like to hear previous Breakup Recovery podcasts, visit barbarastevens.com.au. Connect with Barbara Stevens on social media with Barbara Stevens Breakup Recovery Mentor on Facebook and at You'll Be Okay on Twitter. Read further blogs, view webinar replays, and download your free ebook, 3 Easy Steps to Surviving Your Breakup, and much more at barbarastevens.com.au.